I wasn't meant to be in that room. I pushed the door open at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, looking for the supply closet. Wrong room. Inside the glass-walled conference space, my manager stands at the head of the table. My performance review glows on the projector screen behind him. My name is circled in red marker. 6 people sit around the table, and they're all laughing. Not polite chuckles. Real laughter, the kind that comes from cruelty feeling safe. My hand freezes on the door handle. They haven't seen me yet. The hallway behind me is empty and quiet. I should leave. I should run. But I can't move because I'm watching my manager point at something on the screen and everyone leans forward like he's about to tell the best part of a joke. Then I hear it. Crystal clear through the crack in the door. She sabotaged the Miller account on purpose, he says. My stomach drops. That's not true. That account nearly collapsed because of a supplier error, and I worked 16-hour days to fix it. I saved that account. Everyone knows that. Except apparently, they don't. My chest tightens as I watch them nod along. My manager clicks to another slide. There's a bullet point list with my name at the top. Incompetent, unreliable, saboteur. The words blur as my hands start shaking. This isn't a performance review. This is character assassination. A woman in a gray suit I don't recognize speaks up. How long until we can move her out? She asks. My manager shrugs like it's already decided. 2 weeks, maybe 3. HR needs documentation first. That's what this is for. Documentation. They're building a case to fire me, and they're doing it in a meeting I was never supposed to know about. My throat feels tight. I want to scream. I want to burst in and throw the truth at them until they choke on it. But something stops me. Maybe it's the way my manager is smiling like he's already won. Maybe it's the fact that I'm outnumbered 6-1. I step back instead of forward. And then he says the line that changes everything. She'll never know. I step backward into the hallway. 1 step, 2 steps. My shoes don't make a sound on the carpet. The door is still cracked open, but I'm out of their line of sight now. My heart pounds so hard I can hear it in my ears. They think I'll never know. They think they can destroy my reputation in a closed room, and I'll just accept whatever lie they hand me later. My phone is in my pocket. I could record this, I could take a photo, I could walk in there right now and force them to face me. But I don't. Not yet. Because confrontation without proof is just noise. And noise gets dismissed. I've seen it happen to other people in this company. Someone complains, HR investigates, nothing changes. The complainer leaves quietly 6 months later. I won't be that person. So I walk away. Calm, silent, angry in a way that feels cold and focused instead of hot and wild. I make it back to my desk without crying. I sit down. I open my email. And that's when I see it. A new calendar invitation, sent 4 minutes ago. The subject line reads Executive Strategy Session. I stare at it. The attendee list includes the CEO, the CFO, 3 vice presidents, and my manager. And me. My name is right there at the bottom of the list. I check the timestamp. It was sent while I was standing outside that conference room. This doesn't make sense. I'm not invited to executive meetings, ever. I'm mid-level operations. I handle client accounts and logistics. I don't touch strategy. I hover my mouse over the decline button. This has to be a mistake. Maybe someone typed my name instead of someone else's. Maybe this is bait. A setup to make me look presumptuous for showing up. But then I look at the meeting details. Location, conference room 5B. The same room. The same glass-walled space where 6 people just spent 20 minutes turning me into a villain. My hands stop shaking. I accept the invitation. Then I open a new folder on my desktop and start pulling files. If they want to play games, I'll show up prepared. I dig through project files from the last 18 months. Every report I've written, every email chain I've been part of, every decision log. Our system auto-saves everything. Timestamps, edit histories, approval trails. I didn't know how useful that would be until now. I pull up the Miller account file, the one my manager said I sabotaged. I scroll through the timeline. March 14th, supplier missed shipment deadline. March 15th, I flagged the issue and proposed alternate vendors. March 16th, my manager approved the plan. There's his name, his digital signature, his timestamp. The project was completed 2 days early and brought in 8% over projected revenue. I screenshot everything. Then I check the other projects on that slide, the ones he claimed I mishandled. One by one, I find the same pattern: problems caused by external factors, solutions I proposed, approvals he signed off on, success. Then I notice something. One file is missing: the Hendricks contract. I remember that project, I remember it being complicated, but when I search for the folder, it's gone. Deleted. Deleted files don't disappear completely. Not in our system. I open the recovery portal and search by project name. There it is. Hendricks contract, final approval. The file was deleted 2 days ago by my manager. I restore it. The document opens. It's a contract amendment that shifted payment terms without client approval. A risky move that could have triggered penalty clauses. At the bottom of the approval chain is my manager's signature and a note in his handwriting: approved per my authority. Client notification to follow. But client notification never happened. I checked the email records. Nothing. The client found out 3 weeks later and threatened to pull the entire account. I was the one who smoothed it over. I was the one who apologized and renegotiated terms. And now I'm being blamed for the mistake that he made and then buried. I sit back in my chair and stare at the screen. Then I open another search. I type his name and filter by approval documents. Dozens of files appear. I start clicking through them. And I see it. The pattern. 15 projects over 2 years. Every single one follows the same script. High-risk decision made by my manager. Problem emerges. Blame gets shifted to someone lower on the chain. Someone quieter. Someone who won't fight back publicly. I map it out in a spreadsheet. Names, dates, outcomes. 3 people left the company in the last year. 2 were placed on performance improvement plans. 1 transferred to a different department and took a pay cut. I wasn't the first target. I was just the most recent. My jaw clenches as I scroll through the names. Some I recognize, some I don't, but every single one of them was thrown under the bus to protect his reputation. I save the spreadsheet. I'm about to close the window when a message appears in the corner of my screen. Internal chat. From a username I don't recognize. The message is short: you should stop looking. My stomach tightens. I glance around the office. People are working at their desks. No one is looking at me. I stare at the message for a long moment. Then I type back one word. Why? The reply comes instantly. Because they're watching. My hands go cold. I look around again. Still nothing. Just keyboards clicking and coffee cups being lifted. I glance up at the ceiling. There's a security camera in the corner. Standard office equipment. I've never thought about it before. The message continues: check your desk drawer, bottom left. I hesitate. Then I pull open the drawer slowly. Inside is a small envelope. Plain white, no writing on the outside. I didn't put it there. I open it carefully. Inside is a printed screenshot. It shows my computer screen from 15 minutes ago. The exact moment I opened the deleted Hendricks file. Timestamp in the corner. 4:02 p.m. Someone was watching me in real time. My throat tightens. I look at the chat window. Who are you? I type. 3 dots appear, then disappear. Then appear again. Finally, the response comes. Someone who got burned the same way you're about to. Meet me. Parking garage, level 3, 6:15 p.m. Come alone. The message thread closes before I can reply. I sit there staring at the empty chat box, my pulse hammering in my ears. Then I screenshot everything. At 6:15 p.m., I walk into the parking garage. Level 3 is nearly empty. My footsteps echo against concrete. I stop near the stairwell and wait. A car door opens behind me. I turn. A man in his 50s steps out, gray hair, tired eyes. I recognize him vaguely from the 3rd floor. You're the analyst who got demoted last year, I say quietly. He nods. Adrian Cole. I used to be senior director of operations. He looks around once, then walks closer. Your manager used the same playbook on me. Blamed me for a contract breach that he authorized. I fought it, lost. They offered me a lower position or severance. I stayed because I needed the insurance. He pulls out a folder. I've been collecting evidence ever since, waiting for someone else to notice the pattern, waiting for someone brave enough to use it. He hands me the folder. Inside are printed emails, approval logs, testimony from 2 other former employees. Why didn't you take this to HR yourself? I ask. He laughs bitterly. I did. They said it was a he said she said situation. No proof. But you have proof now. And you have something I didn't. What? I ask. He meets my eyes. You have an invitation to the executive meeting. They don't know what you know yet. The executive meeting is at 9 a.m. the next morning. I arrive at 8:50 a.m. with my laptop bag and a bottle of water I won't drink. My hands are steady. My manager is already in the room when I walk in. He looks up, surprised to see me. Then he smiles, that same confident smirk from yesterday. "Didn't expect to see you here," he says casually. I smile back. I was invited. The CEO walks in at exactly 9 a.m. Tall, sharp suit, the kind of presence that makes a room go quiet. She sits at the head of the table and opens her notebook. My manager sits across from me, still looking smug. 3 other executives file in. I recognize 2 of them from yesterday's glassroom meeting. They don't recognize me. The CEO glances around the table. "Let's start with operations. We've had some concerns raised about project accountability." She looks directly at me. My heart skips. Then she says the words I wasn't ready for. "Miss Taylor, you're listed as the lead on several flagged accounts. We'd like to hear your perspective first." My manager leans back in his chair. He thinks this is his victory moment. I open my laptop. "Of course," I say calmly. "I don't start with accusations. I start with questions. Simple ones. Calm ones. Can you clarify which accounts have been flagged?" I ask. The CEO lists 3. Miller, Hendricks, Patterson. All 3 are on my manager's blame list. "Thank you," I say. "I'd like to understand the specific concerns so I can address them accurately." One of the vice presidents speaks up. "The concern is accountability. These projects had issues. We need to know who made the calls that led to those issues." I nod slowly. "That's fair. Let me ask a clarifying question. When we talk about accountability, are we looking at who executed the work or who approved the decisions?" My manager shifts in his seat. The CEO's eyes narrow slightly. "Both," she says. "Good," I reply. I pull up the Miller account count file on my screen. Let me walk through the Miller timeline. March 14th, supplier failure. March 15th, I proposed a correction plan. March 16th, plan was approved and executed. Project completed ahead of schedule. I pause. The approval signature is time-stamped. Would you like to see it? An executive I don't know leans forward. Yes. I turn my screen toward the table. There it is. My manager's name, his signature, his approval. The executive looks at my manager. "That's not what your email said." The room goes still. My manager's face tightens. "I don't recall that email," he says quickly. The executive pulls out his phone, scrolls, then reads aloud, quote, "Taylor made unilateral decisions on Miller without proper authorization," end quote. Sent Monday, 11:32 a.m. My manager opens his mouth, closes it. "I may have misremembered the timeline," he says. His voice is less confident now. "Misremembered," the CEO repeats. "It's not a question. It's a statement. Cold, pointed. I don't say anything. I just let the silence do the work. Then I speak again. "Would you like me to walk through the Hendricks account as well?" My manager's jaw clenches. "That won't be necessary," he says quickly. "Actually," the CEO says, "I think it is." I pull up the recovered file. I share my screen. The entire approval chain is visible. His signature, his authority, his note about client notification that never happened. I scroll down to the email records. Empty. Then I pull up the email I sent 3 weeks later, apologizing to the client and renegotiating terms. The room is completely silent now. My manager isn't smiling anymore. The CEO closes her notebook. "HR needs to step outside with you," she says to him. "Now." My manager stands slowly. His face is pale. He doesn't look at me as he walks toward the door. An HR representative I didn't notice before stands and follows him out. The door closes. I'm left sitting at the table with 4 executives staring at me. I don't gloat. I don't cry. I just sit there with my hands folded on the table and my screen still shared. The CEO speaks first. "How long have you known about this?" she asks. "Since yesterday," I say honestly. I walked past a conference room by accident and saw my performance review being discussed. That's when I started looking into the project files. One of the vice presidents frowns. "Why didn't you come to HR immediately?" I meet his eyes. "Because I've seen how these things go. Complaints without evidence get dismissed. I needed proof before I said anything." The CEO nods slowly. She doesn't argue with that. "Do you have more?" she asks. I pull up the spreadsheet Adrian helped me build. 15 projects, 8 employees, 2 years of patterns. I turn the screen again. They read in silence. When they're done, the CEO looks at me. "Send that to HR. All of it." "Already done," I say. She almost smiles. Almost. They tell me to wait while they conference with HR. I sit alone in the glass-walled room where yesterday 6 people laughed at my name. The chairs are the same, the table is the same. But the air feels different now. I stare at the spot where my manager stood. I think about all the people whose names are on that spreadsheet. People who left quietly, people who took demotions, people who believed the lie that it was their fault. I think about how close I came to being another name on that list. 20 minutes pass. I check my email, there's a message from Adrian. Just 2 words, "You okay?" I type back. "Yes, thank you." He doesn't reply, but I see the red receipt appear. Finally, the door opens. The CEO walks back in alone. She sits across from me. "Your manager is under investigation," she says. "It'll take a few weeks to complete. He's been placed on administrative leave effective immediately." I nod. Part of me wanted him fired on the spot. Part of me feels cheated that it's not over yet. She must see it on my face. "I know this isn't the outcome you might have wanted," she says. Then she pauses. "But I have a question for you. We need someone to oversee operations while this gets sorted out," the CEO says. "Someone who understands the projects, someone who knows where the problems are." She looks at me directly. "I'd like to offer you the role, temporarily, until we can complete the investigation and make a permanent decision." I blink. I wasn't expecting this. "You're offering me my manager's position," I say slowly. "Temporarily," she repeats, "with full authority to audit past decisions and implement changes as you see fit, if you want it." I stare at her. This is power, real power. The kind that comes with responsibility and risk and visibility. The kind that could make me a target if I mess it up. "I need time to think," I say. She nods. "You have until tomorrow morning." Then she adds something that surprises me. "For what it's worth, you handled yourself well in there. A lot of people would have come in angry. You came in with facts. That matters." I don't know what to say to that, so I just nod. She stands and leaves. I sit there for another moment. Then I pack my laptop and walk out. That night, I don't sleep much, but by morning, I know my answer. I accept, with conditions. I meet with the CEO at 8 a.m. "I'll take the role," I say. "But I have conditions." She raises an eyebrow. "Go on." "First, I want full access to all project files. No restrictions. If I'm gonna fix this, I need to see everything." She nods. "Done." "Second, I want Adrian Cole reinstated to his previous role. He was demoted unfairly and he deserves to be part of the solution." She pauses. Then she makes a note. "I'll review his case personally." "Third," I continue, "I want a transparency policy put in place. Regular check-ins with teams, open-door feedback, no more closed rooms where people get blamed without a chance to defend themselves." The CEO studies me for a long moment. Then she extends her hand. "Agreed." I shake it. That afternoon, I move into a new office. It's strange sitting in a space that used to belong to someone who wanted me gone. I spend the first hour going through files, emails, approval logs. I start building a list of past decisions that need review. And that's when I see a name that makes my stomach turn. A coworker I trusted, someone I considered a friend. Their name appears in multiple email chains, feeding information to my manager, reporting my movements, providing ammunition. I stare at the screen. Then I pick up my phone. I call the coworker into my office. Her name is Vanessa. We've had lunch together. We've covered for each other during deadlines. When she walks in, she looks nervous. "Close the door," I say quietly. She does. She sits across from me, hands folded tightly in her lap. "I saw the emails," I say. I don't raise my voice. I don't need to. Her face goes pale. "I didn't have a choice," she whispers. "He said if I didn't help him, he'd make sure I was next. He said he'd find something, anything. I have 2 kids. I couldn't risk it." My jaw tightens. I want to be angry. I want to tell her that fear isn't an excuse for betrayal. But I also know what it feels like to be afraid. In this building, to feel like you're one mistake away from losing everything. "You fed him information about me for 6 months," I say. She nods, tears starting to form. "I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix it, but I'm so sorry." I lean back in my chair. "Why are you telling me this now?" I ask. "Because you're not him," she says, "and because I can't keep pretending I didn't hurt you." I look at her for a long moment. "I'm not gonna fire you," I say finally. She looks up, shocked, "But I'm not gonna forget this either." Vanessa stares at me. "You're not firing me?" she repeats. "No," I say. "But things are going to change. You're going to help me rebuild the systems he broke. You're going to be part of making sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. And if you ever lie to me again, you're done. Understood? She nods quickly. Understood. After she leaves, I sit alone and wonder if I made the right call. Trust isn't something you get back easily. But punishment without purpose doesn't fix anything either. I decide to focus on what I can control. Over the next 2 weeks, I audit everything. I find 3 more people who were quietly blamed for things that weren't their fault. I find budget discrepancies. I find approval shortcuts. I find a culture of fear that ran so deep, people stopped asking questions. I document all of it. I send reports to HR. I meet with the investigation team. And then on a Friday afternoon, I get an email from HR. The investigation is complete. My former manager has resigned, effective immediately. No severance, no announcement, just gone. That evening I check my email one more time before logging off. There's a message from him. The subject line is blank. I hesitate. Then I open it. The email is short. You were unexpected, it says. I underestimated you. That was my mistake. Good luck. That's it. No apology, no admission of guilt. Just acknowledgement that I disrupted his plan. I delete the email without replying. But the word sticks with me. Unexpected. By Monday, people are talking. Word spreads through the office faster than any official memo could. My former manager is gone. I'm in his seat. The story gets exaggerated. Some people say I exposed a conspiracy. Some say I recorded a secret meeting. The truth is quieter than the rumors, but the impact is the same. People start coming to me. Not with complaints, with ideas. A junior analyst suggests a new project tracking system. An assistant proposes a peer review process. People who were silent before suddenly have voices. And I listen, because I remember what it felt like to be ignored. On Wednesday, I get a request from the CEO. She wants me to lead the first transparency meeting, a new initiative, open forum. Anyone can attend, any question can be asked. It'll be held in conference room 5B, the same room where this all started. The first transparency meeting is scheduled for Thursday at 2 p.m. I spend the morning preparing. I don't write a script. I don't plan talking points. I just think about what I would have wanted to hear 3 weeks ago when I was standing outside that glass door. When I walk into the room, it's already full. Standing room only. People from every department, some I recognize, some I don't. I stand at the front. No podium, no slides, just me. Thank you for coming, I say. My voice is steady. This meeting exists because transparency matters. Because closed doors and secret conversations breed fear, and fear makes people do things they wouldn't normally do. I pause. The room is completely silent. 3 weeks ago, I walked past this room by accident. I saw something I wasn't supposed to see, and it changed everything. I don't name names. I don't go into details. I just tell them what it felt like. To hear laughter. To see your name circled in red. To realize people were building a case against you in a space you were never meant to enter. I'm sharing this, I say, because I don't want anyone here to feel that way again. I look around the room. So here's how this works. You ask, I answer, honestly. For a moment, no one speaks. Then someone in the back raises their hand. The questions start simple: policy clarifications, project timelines, budget allocations. I answer each one directly, no corporate jargon, no deflection. Then someone asks the question I knew was coming. What happened to the manager who was here before you? The room goes still. I take a breath. He resigned during an investigation into workplace conduct. I can't share specifics because of privacy policies, but I can tell you this. If you ever feel like you're being blamed for something that isn't your fault, you have the right to ask questions. You have the right to see the documentation, and you have the right to be heard. Another pause. Then someone else asks, what happens if we report something and nothing changes? I meet their eyes. Then you come to me. Directly. And if I don't handle it, you go over my head. Because accountability doesn't stop at any level, including mine. A woman near the front raises her hand slowly. How do we know this isn't just temporary? How do we know things won't go back to how they were? I don't have a perfect answer for that, so I tell the truth. You don't, I say. But I'm going to try, and I need your help to make it last. The room stays quiet. Then from the back, someone starts clapping. Slowly at first, then others join in. The applause isn't loud or long, but it's real. When it fades, I finish the meeting with one last thought. This room used to mean something different to me, I say. It used to be the place where I learned I could be hurt without even knowing it. But I don't want it to mean that anymore. I want it to mean something better. I glance around. Starting next week, we'll hold these meetings here every Thursday. Same time. Open invitation. Bring your questions. Bring your ideas. Bring your concerns. This room belongs to all of us now. People start filing out. A few stop to thank me. One person hands me a handwritten note with a suggestion for the review process. Adrian catches my eye from across the room. He nods once. I nod back. After everyone leaves, I stand alone in the empty conference room. I look at the same table, the same chairs, the same glass walls, but it feels different now. Not because the room changed, because I did. I prove that silence isn't the only option when you're cornered. That documentation beats confrontation. That staying calm can be more powerful than screaming. I turn off the lights and walk out. I don't look back. Over the next few months, things shift. Not overnight. Not perfectly, but they shift. The transparency meetings become a regular part of the schedule. People start using them, not just to complain, but to collaborate. Vanessa becomes one of the most vocal contributors. She proposes a mentorship program for new hires. It gets approved. Adrian gets his position back. He doesn't return to operations. He moves to compliance. He says he wants to make sure what happened to him doesn't happen to anyone else. I work long hours, longer than I expected. Leadership is harder than I thought it would be, but it's also clearer. I know what I'm building toward now. One afternoon, I get an email from someone I don't know. The subject line says, "Thank you." The message is short. "I was one of the people on your spreadsheet. I left the company last year. I thought it was my fault. Seeing the investigation results made me realize it wasn't. I just wanted you to know that mattered." I read the email 3 times. Then I save it in a folder I label reminders. Because some days are hard. Some days I doubt whether any of this has made a difference. And on those days, I need to remember why I stayed. 6 months after everything started, the CEO calls me into her office. "We're making your role permanent," she says, "if you want it." I think about it. About the weight, about the responsibility, about the late nights and hard conversations, about the way power can corrupt if you're not careful. "I want it," I say, "but I want one more thing." She raises an eyebrow. "Another condition?" I nod. "I want the transparency policy written into company guidelines, not just as a practice, as a requirement." She considers this, then she smiles. Done. I leave her office and walk back to my own. I pass conference room 5B on the way. The door is open. A team is inside working on a project. Laughing, collaborating. No one is circling anyone's name in red. I keep walking. That evening, I get a text from Adrian. "Drinks to celebrate?" I smile and reply, "Yes." We meet at a quiet bar downtown. He raises his glass. "To being unexpected," he says. I clink my glass against his. "To being seen," I reply. We drink, and for the first time in months, I feel something close to peace. Not because I won, but because I changed the rules of the game. A year later, I walk past conference room 5B one last time before heading home. The lights are off, the table is empty, but there's a small plaque on the wall now. It wasn't my idea. The team voted on it. It reads, "Transparency starts here." I stand in the doorway and think about the person I was a year ago. The one who froze outside this room. The one who almost let fear win. I wasn't meant to be in that room, not as a victim, not as a name circled in red. But I ended up here anyway, and instead of letting it break me, I let it build me. I changed what happened inside these walls. I turned cruelty into accountability, silence into conversation, fear into trust. The injustice that tried to erase me became the reason I was finally seen. I turn off the hallway light and walk toward the elevator. My phone buzzes, a message from a new hire asking if they can shadow me next week. I reply yes and put my phone away. Tomorrow I'll do it all again. Not because it's easy, because it matters. And because I know now that the rooms we're not meant to be in are sometimes the ones we're meant to change. I wasn't meant to be in that room.